Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome back here to the channel guys for another video, and welcome once again to the daily news roundup today, where we're going to be going over all of the day's news, possible transfer rumours. We're going to be talking about Lionel Messi, more fallout from El Clásico, and just some things that in the news you may have missed throughout the course of the past few days over Christmas. So we're going to start straight away looking at El Clásico once again, and once again looking at Lionel Messi, who of course was fantastic. Of course he was heavily involved in nearly all of the goals, either by virtue of scoring, assisting, or just his movement in and around the area, taking defenders away and creating space. And there was a really interesting article in El Periódico in Spain, which basically came out with a lot of numbers about how active he was in terms of his running, his walking, and his sprinting throughout El Clásico. And if you do have a look at the image here, the little graphic from inside the paper, 83.1% of the game he spent actually walking around the pitch. 10.8% was Messi jogging, and 4.9% was Messi running in the game. He spent just 1.15 of the game sprinting on the field. Now, there's a number of different ways that you can look at this, and I think all of them are actually very positive. A lot of players, you think, if they're not running around, they're not doing an awful lot, but you can see from the stats that was simply not the case with Messi's performance. He was heavily involved, he was creating chances, he was dribbling, he was scoring goals, of course, he was assisting as well. Right until the very last second, he was involved in everything we did. And I just want to go back to some Johan Cruyff quotes. Now, a lot of people have mentioned this, a lot of people have looked at this and can certainly see Messi in the way that Cruyff saw football, and he came out with a few quotes with regard to running in the game and players' stamina. He specifically said, "I deliberately avoid talking about a player's stamina. It starts a process whereby the footballer has to then run more and gets to spend less time playing football. The trick is to use space on the pitch in such a way that it's the ball that does the work and not the feet by virtue of running." He then went on to say, "A footballer has to run as little as possible on the pitch, because the more tired the player gets, the worse then his technique will be." So clearly, Johan Cruyff's philosophy on the pitch was not to have his players sprinting around trying to close every down at all opportunities, but to use their head in the way that sort of Sergio Busquets does in midfield. He's not the quickest, he's not the most athletic, but he can understand the game and he can see things before they even appear, and then he can anticipate them. And it was a lot like that with Lionel Messi's performance in El Clásico, in the way that he ran, in the way that he walked for most of the game. And the one point that you can also take from this particular graphic was the fact that it'll actually prolong his career. Obviously now Lionel Messi's 30, he can't always do what he used to do in terms of the amount of sprints that he makes, obviously the longevity of his sprints, and obviously the amount of games that he plays in a Barcelona season. But the way that he plays the game right now, he's not always running, and he's done this the past few years. It's not an instant thing that's suddenly come into his game. He doesn't always run, but what that does allow him to do is to be more effective when he wants to. He can certainly sprint, he can certainly move when he needs to, and it'll also help me more effective in the latter stage of the season. When everybody else is tiring, when everybody else has played a lot of games, Messi will still be at his best and able to make that magnificent impact. And of course, particularly this season, with the World Cup in mind, which will be after the season is finished, where Messi will still need to be at his peak if he's to really have that impact in Russia. And now, of course, it is time to focus on transfers. The January transfer window now is just around the corner, and as always, even though it's been the Christmas period, there have been a number of rumours right around the Spanish papers. AS this morning come out, they are a paper that is based in Madrid, so I'm not always sure what to make of that. Madrid papers reporting on Barcelona news. Usually, I would like to stick more around sport than MD, but they've been quite quiet in regard to transfer window rumours in recent days. AS basically came out and said that Barcelona will focus in January on signing two players in particular. Those two players, they say, are Philippe Coutinho and Yerry Mina. Yerry Mina, of course, 23-year-old centre-back, likely to cost between 9 million and 12 million in the January transfer window, coming in from Palmeiras, potentially. Coutinho, though, likely to cost a lot more than that, around 150 million euros. He scored once again for Liverpool today as they played Swansea. But the thing that strikes me most about this particular article from AS is the fact they actually then went on to say that Arthur from Gremio, obviously the centre midfielder that we've been talking about a lot, that controlling midfield player that we're so desperately lacking right now, it says here that Arthur is considered by the Barcelona board to be an alternative to Philippe Coutinho, and it says the club here will do everything in their power to sign Coutinho first. first over the signing of Arthur. Now that's one thing that I simply can't understand. Now, I don't really know if this article is true. I would probably say there's not an awful lot of truth in this one, but I just can't understand that on a general scale. I don't understand it when papers come out, and particularly looking at Barcelona's board, when they have one alternative which is absolutely nothing like the other. Arthur as a player is nothing like Coutinho. If you're going to sign one of those, you don't have to. You can sign both of them. Coutinho is an offensive player. He's somebody who likes to go forward, likes to score goals, likes to be involved in the final third of the pitch. Arthur is a completely different midfielder. He's somebody who isn't interested in scoring. He's not really interested in assisting. He's somebody who will sit a bit deeper in the midfield, somebody around the centre of the pitch, and look to control and dictate the tempo. And that's what I don't understand. Why is one considered an alternative to the other when they're nothing like each other at all? So I really hope that one is not true. AS also went on to talk about player sales in relation to Barcelona, and they say that Atletico Madrid have joined the race to sign Alex Vidal in January, with Sevilla and Valencia also interested in signing the right back, or right now, right winger, of course. So Valverde has been using him a lot higher up the pitch, but interested, Atletico Madrid also interested in signing him potentially in January. It's going to be interesting to see how that one turns out. Valverde right now seems to trust in Vidal more than he does Deulofeu, so right now I would say Deulofeu, if an offer comes in, more likely to leave than Vidal, but it does seem that more clubs are interested right now in signing Alex Vidal than they are possibly Gerard Deulofeu. And a very interesting report that came out from Calcio Mercato regarding Leonardo Bonucci. It basically said that Barcelona were pondering a move for the centre-back, who of course joined AC Milan in the summer from Juventus for around 40 million euros. And it hasn't really worked out at AC Milan for Leonardo Bonucci, a centre-back who was one of the best in the world without question when he went there in the summer, but he hasn't really been great at the heart of Milan's defence. They're currently 11th in Serie A, and they've been very, very underwhelming this season. What I would say about this move though is, despite Bonucci's obvious quality, he's somebody that also would suit our playing style. He's outstanding on the ball. He's a really, really good passer of the ball from centre-back. I cannot see him leaving Italy. The whole point that he joined AC Milan from Juventus was because he didn't want to leave Italy. He doesn't want to leave Italy because of his children. He wants to stay there. He likes living there, and he didn't want to move abroad. So I can't really see that one materialising. Another centre-back rumour came from Sport. That was regarding Virgil van Dijk of Southampton. Barcelona reportedly joining the race with the likes of Liverpool, Manchester City. A lot of Premier League clubs are interested in signing Van Dijk, and again, that's another one that I see very, very unlikely, simply because Southampton are going to demand absolutely astronomical money to sign him from them. Apparently 60 to 70 million euros, and I just cannot see us signing a defender for that much in the January transfer window. Another very interesting quote that has come out recently was former Barcelona coach and Man United coach Louis van Gaal. He basically came out and said that people would be surprised how well Daley Blind would suit Barcelona if he was signed by the club. Obviously Blind, we spoke about it before, was linked to Barcelona, and Van Gaal basically came out and said that Blind would suit La Liga a lot more than he does the Premier League. Somebody that's obviously managed Daley Blind both for the national team and also for Man United, and Blind is a player that has been linked with Barca many, many times in the past, and it would be interesting to see how things work out. Somebody who could play at centre-back, left-back, and even in midfield, maybe somebody the board are taking a look at, but right now, once again, I would say that's unlikely unless we hear anything further. Right now, just rumours, absolutely nothing concrete. And finally, guys, the last piece of news that I do want to bring you today is a quote once again on Lionel Messi. These are becoming very much something that comes up every single news roundup video, but obviously any praise going the way of Lionel Messi we cannot ignore. And today, the thoughts come from Eden Hazard of Chelsea. He was speaking to Chelsea's in-house media, Chelsea TV, and he was basically speaking about the Chelsea-Barcelona clash when he mentioned, of course, Lionel Messi. He came out with the following quote: "When you are playing football, you want to play against the best team in the world and against the best player in the world, and in my opinion, Lionel Messi is, by no doubt, the very best player in the world." So very glowing praise once again there, this time coming from Eden Hazard. In the last video, when we were talking about Lionel Messi, it was from Fernando Torres. This time, Eden Hazard, full of praise for Lionel Messi, who says that he's definitely the best player in the world, which of course, we were all very much aware of. So as always, guys, with the daily news roundup videos, please leave all your thoughts down below on today's news. If you have heard some things which you do want to discuss, please do leave those thoughts down in the comments below. I'll be glad to hear from you, and I'm sure a lot of the other guys down below will be interested to talk about something that you have heard about which maybe we have not. Let me know your thoughts down below. I will see you very, very soon indeed with more videos. I've got a lot planned for the upcoming days and weeks, guys. There's not too long to wait until Barcelona return. But in that time that we do have, I am going to upload as much as possible and give you some exciting videos in the process. So I will see you very, very soon indeed, guys. But until then, as always, Visca El Barça!
Barça! Barça!